I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Dan Carden. And today I have the lovely Katrina Cobb with me, who is a business architect and coach. So Katrina, welcome to my show.
Thanks, and I'm excited for our conversation today.
I know I am excited to interview you, to hear all about what you're doing and what your expertise is and the value that you're going to share with my audience. So why don't we just start with exactly what you do in your business and then how you got here?
Amazing. So what I do, I'm known as a business architect of sorts. My background is actually in architecture. I've got a couple degrees in that, and that was the world I was in before shifting into entrepreneurship in the online space. What that allows me to do is have a really interesting ability to view an online business and all the different parts and pieces, systems, processes, people, everything, kind of in 360 degrees. And so I'm using that ability to support entrepreneurs and coaches growing very large online businesses by stepping in as the operations sort of leader. So looking at efficiencies, looking at processes, doing all the stuff you really don't want to do. Like I actually geek out about figuring out how to do it better. So that's the role that I've just found myself organically filling over the last few years as I started traveling. And so I've got a team that works underneath me, and we basically handle all the back end of your business. Everything from auditing processes to just running all the repeatable stuff that you can't be bothered to do, to installing new things or new products or getting everything ready to launch. Any and all of the behind the scenes is really my wheelhouse.
Perfect. And yes, those are a lot of the things that hang, especially coaches. When we're talking about coaches, they love to coach, but they don't love all of the business stuff.
No,
and
technology
all of these things are,
and platforms
it's not their
and integrations and no.
Yes. So Katrina, how did you get into this? And then how did, you developed a business around it? And I, by the way, I love that your background was in being an architect and now you're a business architect. So I think that's very cool. But how did you kind of get into this piece of it?
It's been a fun, I call it a journey because it's literally been a physical and metaphorical journey because travel's been a big part of me arriving to where I'm at. But after leaving architecture, I got an entrepreneurship of my own and had my own brick-and-mortar businesses, sort of learned trial by fire how to actually put all the pieces together. And when I decided to change my life and become a digital nomad, go online only, give myself some freedom and kind of rework how I envisioned working and living and what that could look like, I found the online space just had a very wide opening for people that understood, again, all the processes, how to actually build a business. I've always been a builder of things, and it just turns out that building businesses is really something that's fun for me to do. So it came through very organically. I started coaching and sharing my expertise in that realm with a lot of people, but what I found was, especially like really amazing coaches, especially in midlife or women that are in career change and starting this level of their business to do something different in coaching and consulting, don't want to be bothered with the tech, like really didn't want me to tell them how to do stuff. They'd rather just have me do it for them. Like that was kind of the place that some opportunities came across just through referrals and through networks and people I was meeting as I was traveling. And it sort of grew organically from there. So it's been a fun awareness just to see. I think a business is always interesting. Where do your skill sets really fit a need? And for me, it was a very natural piece that gave me the freedom that I wanted, but also allowed me to leverage really my unique perspective and abilities and experience in a way that really serves others. So it's been a really fun evolution.
I love this. So are you all hearing this? Because this is exactly what I help people do in their business is take their genius, take their brilliance, and the things that they love and the things that they light them up and build a lucrative business around it. And I love that that's exactly what you have done, Katrina. And I think you even mentioned at one point when we first had a conversation, I love the back end stuff. Like being in the spotlight hasn't always been my thing, but now I'm starting to do more of that. Is that?
Yeah, I've got a little Leo in me. So there are times, especially when I was traveling, that it was just
You're a
nice to
Leo.
just
So am I.
totally a Leo. Yeah. So I do love a speaker and a microphone and a stage like that. I have my moments of doing that. That's always been fun. But there were some years, especially while I was traveling, that I was just happy to work weird hours so that I could be out and about during the day and then be kind of like in strange hours handling the back end of things or behind the scenes stuff a little bit unplugged at night. And schedule wise, that turned out to be a good solution for me. But I also find it's such a value of mine and a belief that everyone, especially every woman, has the ability to create an amazing epic life with a business in entrepreneurship, and that it's not a competitive thing, but it's more of a rising tide lifts all boats. So I never found any friction in supporting others' dreams and being 100% on board with the vision of amazing coach or the vision of this amazing
Right.
expert in this thing. For me, it's really fun to partner with talented and driven and passionate people. Like to me, that makes the work fun to know that I'm
I,
also
yeah.
behind something that I believe in, right?
I totally agree. And let's face it, there's enough business everywhere, right?
Totally.
But
Yeah.
you know, the thing, and it was funny, I had another podcast interview today, and one of the things we talked about is, I built a lot of businesses, and I think you did too,
Yeah.
the old way, where we had to run ads and
Yeah.
we had to
Yeah.
network and we had to do all these things,
Yeah.
and now to have all of this that we have available to us to be able to have a global business, but
Right.
also have freedom in our business, be able to create our own schedules and just really run your business in a way that aligns with your life, not the other way around, is just such a gift. And I don't even think the generation that, I'm older. And so I don't even think that people really realize the gift and the value that they have with that.
I think it's COVID really helped. It forced a lot of people to
It
reimagine
did. They
some
had to look.
things. And I
Yes, they had
think
to see some
for
things.
many people that created an opportunity, even if it was an uncomfortable one at the time. So
Mhm.
I've seen, especially in, the 40 plus like generation of people that had that traditional career, start to be a bit more curious about maybe that's not the only way that I can do this whole career thing. So I'm excited to see the swing. I think we're still just getting started on the potential of
Yes.
leveraging tools, leveraging global connections, leveraging networking in a different way, leveraging our skills and owning them in a different way. I think there's a lot of things moving. They're going to make this really exciting and really possible for many people who maybe didn't start out that way.
Yes, I totally agree. So what are the favorite things to do when you're working with a client? Like if you could just do two or three things and
Yeah.
that's just your thing, what is that?
At this stage of the game, I love sort of like the higher level thinking. I love the business strategy conversations. I love like talking with the business owner about what their vision of impact or growth or revenue or something is and kind of reverse engineering the how. Like that's very fun
Yes.
for me. I love looking, it sounds super geeky, but looking at data and analytics and letting what's working inform our strategy instead of how we feel. Because I think we tend to make a lot of gut reactions without actually diving into the specifics of maybe it's this little problem, not a huge thing, right? To make changes. So those sort of conversations are really where I'm providing the most value right now to the businesses that I'm working with, because I just have 15 plus years experience in building and growing and selling and moving and creating and supporting a lot of different businesses over the years. So the perspective there is super helpful. So that's what I'm enjoying the most at the moment.
Yeah. So if someone wants to work with you, what's the first step?
The first step is always a conversation. I don't take on a lot of new clients because my relationships tend to be pretty deep. And as you can imagine, running in the operation side of a business, even in a part-time role, I'm not going to be working with hundreds of these. I'd like to be
Right.
dialed in
Correct.
and really know what's going on. But I have discovery call available, and there's also some free guides on my web source resources on my website that you can kind of look through if this is the right fit for you, if this level of support is kind of where you're at in business, because I think there's a lot of variety out there in sort of the operation space, OBMs, fractional COOs, high technical VAs. There's a lot of gray area in terms of
Right.
identifying your needs. And so a call usually is the first thing to start with there. And I can help clarify if, what, when, and how you might be ready for based on the way your business is structured and what you're doing currently and your goals. And then from there, if my team and I are a fit, or if I might have another reference for you.
Perfect. Hey, it's Ann here, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to ask you, would you like to level up and scale up your coaching or consulting business and go into that $500,000, $1 million or beyond, maybe even in the next year? Well, if it's a big yes for you, then I want to invite you to apply to my next free 2-day virtual event. You do not want to miss this. These are the same strategies I use in my business and the same strategies I teach my high-paying clients so that they can have explosive growth and do it with a premium business. So go apply now, because I have had people make money right out of my free workshops. All you need to do is go to expertinyouworkshop.com, apply to attend, and I'll see you on the inside. Now back to the show. So what are some things that if someone is considering hiring someone to do the operations side of their business, what phase should they be in their business? What are some things that they should look at to determine if they're ready for this step in their business?
The first thing, and it's going to sound exceptionally obvious, is time. How much time are you spending pushing the boulder up the hill versus in your zone of genius? And I think there's a threshold where you start to just be a little bit either grumpy or a little run down or wishing you had more time for this, but you feel like you're stuck in this. Like that's flag number one to look at getting support, right? I think financially, to make a decision to bring somebody in more as an operations leader would be when you're probably in the 15, 20K month range and have big vision to scale to that 500,000, million, multiple millions, that sort of range. That's when you could afford to bring somebody with good expertise in that's going to be on a couple $1,000 retainer to your team without increasing or impacting your profitability, right? So you want to be able to afford good help is the second piece of that.
Very good. No, I think that's really helpful to give people like a real vision of what that looks like to know. So what are some takeaways that somebody could get from this that would really help them kind of get some things in place to start moving into that bigger business, getting ready for someone like you?
Cool. I'll tell you some visionary tips and some practical tips. We'll give you a little bit of both.
Let's do it.
The vision side, I think, it's more fun for me, right? To speak to this is take an honest look at how you feel about your business. And if you catch yourself telling yourself, well, I can't do this because this, or I wish I could do this, but I can't, or that the current business operation is limiting you in your vision, your goals, like that to me is like the flag to like, it's time to get help. It's time to not have to hold all of this or be doing all of it myself, or to find a better way or a more efficient thing or somebody else to support me, right? So I think that's the first piece if you feel limited by your current business.
Okay.
And then practically, the best tip I have for being able to bring somebody in operations is to start documenting everything you're doing. And whether that's jotting down notes, taking the extra 5 minutes after you actually do a process, whether that's write copy, publish some marketing, put something out in the world, do something on the back end with customer service, whatever it is, as simple as writing down your quick steps or your thinking process behind the steps is the most important, or turning on a Loom and doing a screen share over the shoulder, just recording what you're doing to start to have something you can hand off. Because I find that so many people, that's the roadblock. They want to bring somebody on, but then they're overwhelmed by the work it will take to onboard a new team member, and they don't have time to do the onboarding, so they keep pushing off getting support. So getting ahead of that is the most practical tip I could share. And there's a lot of ways to start documenting. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just either bullet points or turn a camera on and go while you're doing it makes a huge difference in giving you the confidence that you'll be able to onboard somebody successfully.
That's great advice, because so often people touch things way too many times. And like, and the biggest roadblock for people bringing in help is they don't know how to duplicate the process.
Correct.
Because it's always maybe come from them. And so that's a really, really great tip. I always say, if you have to touch it more than once, it needs to be a system. It needs to be documented.
Easier said than done so many times, because we feel like we're running and we're under pressure and we're just trying to get from one thing to the next. So we don't pause long enough to take that extra documentation, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, something.
Yes.
And then we're still in the loop, right? So I hear you. And yes, totally encourage you to just try it for a day and see what happens, how much you can get documented. It's going to take a load off of the pressure of like, oh, actually, I do have some things that are repeatable that I could teach somebody else how to do for me. Even if they can get it to 90% of the way that I would do it, that's a massive capacity win for you. And I
Right.
find like that's really the objective for bringing in support, especially a lot of repeatable tasks or creative tasks or something kind of
Yes.
behind the scenes in business, is maybe not to expect 100% of all the things hands off, but can you train somebody to get it to the point where 90, 95% of the load is done, and then it maybe
Right.
takes a quick review or much less
Right.
of your time to get out the door.
And I just want to speak to this for just a minute too, because obviously working with hundreds and hundreds of people building their businesses, one thing that people have a misconception about is that if they bring in this team, if they bring in this help, it's hands off completely. And I just want you to know that's kind of dangerous. Just FYI, you really
Yeah.
do need to still be in, you need to manage the systems, right? You need to manage the things going on. And yes, you can definitely have someone like yourself that you trust, but you still need to communicate.
Someone needs to manage the
Yes.
execution. Yes. And a lot of
Yes.
times, honestly, the answer isn't the coach. That's actually what I found in my experience. Like, they're also not always the best person to be running and managing a team. That's
That's
not
true.
their genius
Mhm.
either sometimes. So I think you have to understand yourself. And if you're a person that like, no, 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 I'd rather let me be in my genius, let me train, have the one right hand person in my business that I can work with hand to hand, trust to like get how I think about things, decide how I like to decide decisions in my business and be able to take that part on and let them lead the team versus no, I love the people part of it and I like being deeply connected to my team and I don't want to let go of that, right? I think there's most people probably in the other bucket, right? In my experience anyway. But a little bit of self-awareness around that
Do
helps.
you do anything too, Katrina? Like if somebody wanted to start building a team, maybe they
Mhm.
want to build a sales team, maybe they want to build
Yep.
whatever, a marketing team, whatever it is they feel like they need to move their vision forward. Do you also help them with those pieces as well? So you
Yes.
really help them with the execution side. Here's what I
Yep.
want, Katrina. Help me execute this. Is
Here's
that
what we need. We need to
Mhm.
increase our sales capacity. Here's my idea for what we need. Can you help me build a job description? Can you help me share it? Can you help start the first round of interviews and then we'll do a joint together? That kind of thing. Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Yes, that's what so many people need. So I'm so excited that you were able to share today, and I know that there will be people that definitely need your services. The thing is, a lot of times you don't know who to go to or where to find people, and that's exactly why I wanted you on here. So now, even though she can't take on hundreds of clients, now
I
you
can point. I've
know.
got some good connections as well in the industry at this
I was
stage.
just going to say she
And
knows how to grow
yeah,
businesses, so she can find help as well. So no limits, right? There are no limits.
there's
So
always a way forward. And I think even for
yes,
some people, the right hire may not be the OBM first. It may be like a serious executor that can just start taking the load off and then you'll have the capacity to work with somebody on a higher level, right? So I think everybody's case gets to be a little bit different, but that's
mhm.
where some of these conversations to really take a look with through third party eyes, see somebody with a bit of distance to your business, which tends to be our baby, right? That we're very passionate about, to look at how it's actually working and make some informed suggestions. I think that's always helpful. Scalability is what most of us desire in this world to achieve the life that we're looking for, and a team is going to have to be part of that. But that can look
Has
different
to
for
be. You
a
cannot,
lot of
yes,
people.
you can't be a one-man show for sure. So,
Would not
so
recommend.
good.
Yeah.
How can people get a hold of you, Katrina? And do you have something that you would like to offer them? I heard you mention a couple of things there that they can get. So go ahead
Yeah.
and share those.
So you can find me online, katrinacobb.com, and we'll share the link in notes or that sort of thing with you guys. I also have if you're into this, like I think I might need to hire an OBM, I've got a free resource, the top 5 questions to ask when hiring your next OBM. So it gives you a bit of insight into how to find that higher level person versus just somebody who's maybe been a really strong VA for a while and now is calling themselves an OBM, but it's never had to do that strategic operations piece. So how can you start to discern what level of support you need and you want to
Right.
hire?
And where can they get that? And by the way, we will put the links with the show notes
Yep.
too, but where can they grab that?
That's also linked in my resources tab. So katrinacobb.com/resources. You can
Perfect.
find the freebie linked in there. So that's the easiest link to verbally share, but we'll also share the links direct with you guys.
Yes, perfect. This has been so great. I wish we had a lot more time because I know we could really dive deep and talk about a lot of this. But listen, you have to connect with Katrina, and you're on LinkedIn,
Yes,
correct? You're on
absolutely.
LinkedIn.
Yep.
You're all over. So,
I'm on all the
um,
places. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, there you go. So connect with her and look if you are looking for a great operations business, operations manager definitely reach out to her and have a conversation and see if it's a good fit for you. So it's been fun having you on here. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and giving people some real actionable steps that they can take and some takeaways so that they can go apply those to their business, or even just start thinking differently about their business, and knowing that there are people out there like you that could actually help them move forward. So
Help
I
exists. So it's a
appreciate
matter of
you.
clarity. Perfect.
Yes. Everyone, thank you so much for being here for another episode. Make sure that you subscribe to the show, and by all means, share the show. Look, the more people that get, the more we can reach, the more people we can help. And that's what these shows are all about. It's really about giving value, introducing you to real experts in the industry, in their field, and people that you might need for your business. So make sure you share this with other people and subscribe. And thank you again for being here. Go rock your business, and we'll see you next week.
If you've enjoyed this show, then I want to invite you to check out a free automated webinar where I show you how you can bring in ultra high fee clients for $25,000 to $125,000 or even more. I show you how you can do this maybe even in the next 7 to 60 days. So if you want to check out that free webinar, just go to expertinyouaccelerator.com and I'll see you on the inside. You have an amazing day, and until next time, God bless you. Go rock your business.